Hello, Omies. Welcome in to the Out of Our Minds podcast, and welcome in to the official 2025 energy reading, vibe check, guidance provider. We're stoked. Welcome in. We're shimmying. I'm wearing a cool shirt that says "Accept the love of the universe." So yeah, welcome in. Get freaking cozy and comfy. I definitely recommend either having a notebook nearby or getting your notes app open on your phone. And yeah, really to just drop you in immediately to what to expect in this episode and give you some context. We like to do energy readings on the year, kind of just twice a year. We do these on the podcast, and we actually do very in-depth ones per month inside of our membership, which is really cool because you get an even more thorough specific energy reading. And the way that we do these is we are tuning in to the community, to you specifically, the listener. And that's why we always get messages that these energy readings hit like they are custom made for you. And it's because they are. And yeah, we're always tuning in with so much love and light and just asking for the guidance, the reminders, the wisdom, knowledge of the challenges, etc., so that we can all align with collective and individual energies in the best way possible. So that's kind of what these energy readings are like. And definitely if it's hitting for you, will probably hit for somebody else. So this is a great episode to send to someone and to even strike up a conversation around what's resonating. Definitely if you are in our membership, striking up a conversation in there with the other Omies about what is hitting and what you're feeling for yourself for the year, etc. So the way this is going to look is we're going to go over some of the key energies and themes that are in 2025 and also share a tarot forecast, if you will. I did a 4-card pull, which I'll get into later, and this is really going to give you very tangible kind of like actions, advice, guidance on how to approach this year. And so what I would do is to really listen with an open mind and open heart and just take note of the things that stick out to you of like, oh, wow, yes, I just was thinking this for myself, or, oh, that's very interesting. I'm going to note that. And even the points maybe that you have some resistance to just get curious about what is coming up for you, what you think it might mean, how it might apply for you. And this will definitely be an episode to come back to as well, either in a few weeks or a couple months when you kind of want a vibe check on things and to get some messages that are meant for you. Okay, so the first thing to know about 2025 is that in numerology, this is known as a 9. This is a universal year 9. In the numerology system, you really only work with the numbers 1 through 9. And if you're familiar with the life path system, there are master numbers, which is the 11, 22, and 33. But for all the other numbers, you're basically adding it together until you get a 1 through 9. Because of that, the 9 is the last number in this sort of scale, if you will. So a year 9 is really one of the biggest themes and energies, is this idea of completion and closure, right? And feeling into this path that you've been on, the path that we've all been on. If you kind of just reflect lightly on the last few years, it feels like there's been a lot of shifting, a lot of big things happening, awakenings, huge, personal life events, collective events. And through that, we've been, going through a journey of learning lessons, of healing, of a lot of shadows coming up. Maybe you've been building something over the last few years, or you're kind of at the tail end of something, whether that's like a relationship or a job or just like something in your life that you're like, you know what? I think this is kind of done and has run its course. So something to really feel into with the overall energy of the year, the numerology of it, is kind of 4 main themes here that we'll riff on a bit. And then 2 sort of bigger, I'll say 4 key energies and then some bigger themes that are going to speak to the more nitty gritty. But really this idea of the completion and the closure, the biggest thing here is understanding and viewing, this idea of like the 9 is the last number. When you're on this journey of life, right, there's these chapters. And for a lot of you, it might feel like you've kind of been like in it and doing it, and you've been taking steps and moving forward. Last year, 2024, was really a big year of healing and transformation. We talked exactly a year ago about how the energy of 2024 was like, you can't ignore the shadows anymore. Things are going to come up, but you're just like able to transmute them and understand the lesson. So imagine now you've mined all this wisdom, you've picked it all up, and you're like, okay, this is all sitting in front of me. I'm almost like ready to close the book on this chapter of my life where I learned so much and I went through a lot of stuff and I started something up and I'm ready to let it go. And it's really a time of these personal and collective endings that are going to pave the way for growth. Now, just because we're talking about completion doesn't mean that like you're closing and finishing everything in your life. It's actually more of a completion of this level. So a big kind of analogy that's been coming through for me and actually for a lot of our clients too, which is really cool in our community, is this feeling of, and actually for our business too, as Nikki and I have been planning out our year, this is exactly what's been coming through, which is imagine that you've been working on this foundation of a house and you've been really taking the time to build it. When you're building a foundation, sometimes you're like uprooting stuff. You're getting rid of things that you don't want to be sitting beneath the house, right? And you're putting in those like final bricks and those final pieces. And when that's done, it doesn't mean you just walk away. It means what's the next level? And this is where you're like, okay, I'm going to build my house. I'm going to build my dream. I'm going to build my mansion, right? Whatever this dream home is. And the reason that this energy is feeling so potent is because then after year 9, next year, 2026 will be a 1 year. And 1 years are cool because they're very fresh, big energy. It's like truly pop off. You're like starting the new thing. And that is really, to kind of contextualize this year into the next, is this feeling of preparing for what comes after the closure, what comes after you finish the foundation. So I'll pause there and let you speak because I know you're ripping with things coming through.
So with this being a 9-year, what's coming through for me, and this is so freaking cool because I was, when you were sick and I was hosting the new moon workshop, the Capricorn new moon workshop, what we were focusing on was reconciling 2024. Because when you look at 9 and you look at the year that we have stepped into, when things come to completion, it's so important to reflect back on the experiences that we went through and the lessons that we learned and to really reconcile them, to come to like the summary line, the finish line, and to say, this is exactly what I learned and now I'm embodying this energy. If there are things in your life that you're looking back on from 2024 and there's still this energy of like that shouldn't have happened that way, you're missing out on reconciling a really powerful lesson that 2025 is here to support you in, like the grounding of and like really solidifying into your being. So on this workshop, one of our members was bringing up the Fibonacci sequence. And I forget how this all unraveled, but essentially what we were all coming to the realization of is that 9 is a similar image to the Fibonacci sequence.
Yes.
And something that Bella and I's mentor teaches us is that the Fibonacci sequence is a beautiful representation of healing. Because if you look at the sequence of numbers, the number that you're looking at will add to the one that comes after it, and that creates the next number. So let me give an example so that you guys can really follow this because this is all going to connect.
Yeah.
But it goes 0, 1, then the 1 adds to the 0, that makes a 1. And then it goes 1, and then 2, and then the 2 looks back, adds 1, that makes 3. The 3 looks back at the 2, adds those together, that makes 5. The 5 looks back at the 3, adds those together, that makes 8. And eventually you get this whole sequence, which is the Fibonacci sequence. And if you were to map out those numbers, it looks like the shell spiral. That's what the Fibonacci sequence is. It's the golden spiral. And what's so powerful about this that our mentor teaches us is that you can look at this as a representation for life and the way that we learn lessons. We look back at past experiences, we add that what we learned to who we are now, and that becomes our future. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because this year feels like a really important year to fully reconcile our past and to look back at these beautiful lessons that we've learned over these really insane past 4 years of our life. Like 2020 to 2024 was a mass awakening. And if you guys are tuned into this, I'm going to assume you had your spiritual awakening at some point in one of those years. And 2025 is inviting us to look back and fully reconcile. Wow, that experience was fucking tough, but it taught me X, Y, and Z. And now I'm this person because of that experience. And I am fully embodying this in my 2025. And what I said before is really important. Just think about the things in your life that you're looking back on and still kind of carrying this energy of it shouldn't have happened this way. I wish it would have happened this way. Why did it have to happen like that? Why did this happen to me? Because when we're in that state, it's a sneaky way of kind of taking on the victim consciousness. And 2025 is really inviting us to look back and fully claim and take responsibility of everything that went down in our life and to see it as a beautiful roadmap for the lessons that we were meant to learn. So reconciliation is something that's really coming to mind. And if you guys are interested in diving into a workshop, you can go into the New Moon Vault and watch the Capricorn New Moon workshop. You can literally sign up for the free trial and just do it for free. And that will help you just look back and have clarity and like an actual specific journey with prompts on how to reconcile 2024. But I just wanted to add that in here because it does feel like we're all being gifted this really beautiful opportunity to fully embody what we have learned over the past few years. And that really excites me. It's like embodiment level is up here now.
Yes.
We were here,
truly.
now we're up here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a beautiful time to be in because it's this like reflection and wisdom, and it's like it also gives you a sense of accomplishment, which is something that actually I'll talk about in the tarot reading is like, this exhale, this like you did it, like you're in the final stretch of this marathon and you can see the finish line, like you just have this clarity, this knowing. And what's beautiful too is it this is what we talked about in the time episode, really, is like being able to see the past through this like at least neutral lens where you're able to really honor it and to really not have that victimized energy of like this thing happened to me, etc. It's like we're here in the present moment. If we want to use the past to help us embody and learn lessons and to like write the story of our lives. And that definitely feels like that's what's happening here. And I think it can also be used very much for choosing what you want to create this year, right? Where you're like, continuing to build that foundation and you reconcile the past either of 2024 or the past several years, and you're like picking up the things that you're like, okay, I learned my strength here. Like I know what's a F yes for me. I know what's, not meant for me. And that is where you become this master of your life. And that's also why this feels like a year of just this confident way of just continuing and keeping going because you've been doing it. Like you are the empowered soul. You went through the awakening. You know what's up. Like embodiment is taking on a whole different level where you don't even have to, the concept of faking it is irrelevant because you know it. You have the knowing, you have the experience, you have all of the stuff and like the tools and the notches in your belt for you to take it to the next level. So the other thing that is really beautiful about a 9-year is the spiritual alignment and the calling that you get. And so there's this idea of a 9-year tending to amplify the call to align with your spiritual essence and to surrender to divine timing and really trust the unfolding of the process. This to me feels really big this year because there's that duality of the completion where you might be closing something, leaving something behind. It feels like a lot of people this year are going to quit jobs finally, especially if they've been like sticking it out for a couple years. Like this is the year that some of you are probably like, yeah, I'm done. And you're just like, it's not even a desperate energy. You're just kind of like, it's the chapter's done. You just close the chapter and move on. And this is like that energy where you can take these leaps, but it has an energy where you're like clearing space for what's going to come next year and the miracles and all these beautiful things that are always happening. But that especially you can have a trust that this is a very, like if you are feeling the fire of a calling, right? And we just did that last episode on your purpose and your mission. If you're feeling that phone line ringing and you're hearing that, like this is the freaking year to listen to that and to especially, I think, especially release and let go of any of the stuff that clogs that excitement or that clogs that phone line, so that there's less, I think it's less about starting the business this year. Like, yes, that could be for sure a part of it. It's always a great time to start your dream, right? But I think it's more about like clear out the stuff that is blocking you from it, so that then you create this huge opening for the newness to come in. And it's so nuanced because it's like, this is where the energetics change the nature of action. So it's like, yes, this year we're going to keep building. You're going to keep taking leaps. You could start something new. I'm sure we're going to birth new things all year long. It's going to be amazing. But the energy is like not frantic and feeling like it has to then immediately pan out. It's a seed and it's another brick on the foundation. And that gives it a trust that is aligned with a mission and a purpose from your soul, because it doesn't expire and you understand that you're in the long game. And I think this is like the trick here is when you're feeling that call and you're feeling and hearing the phone is ringing, this is the year to both pick up the phone and also assess what in your life does not fit into you following this mission. And that's where like the quitting of jobs happens, moving to a different city, or even just energetically like healing and being like, you know what? I am effing done with this bullshit story. I'm just done. Like, it's done. I'm letting it go. I don't need this anymore. Leave it behind, close the book, burn it, goodbye. Like, it's simple. Close it. And that's like, I think that nuanced energy. I'm really curious actually what's coming through for you and what you feel about this, because I think there's just like an important, subtle difference in removing the pressure that like the same year that you take the leap is the year that it also like fully pans out and makes sense to you. And I think there's a beauty in like taking like the step at a time that feels more like a letting go to make space for something to come through later on.
I also do feel like this is the year where people aren't going to really be given a choice with that. Mm-hmm. So it's so important to remember that everything is always happening for you. And when life feels like it's falling to shit and things are going negatively or bad, sometimes there's a clearing process that happens on a collective scale, on a personal scale, and it's for you.
Yeah.
You may just be so zoomed into your own view of life that you're unable to see the higher perspective, that sometimes the clearing is done for you. And the key is to remember that for you part, because it can feel scary when things are kind of ripped out from under you. But just know you're being gifted a really beautiful opportunity to like assess where you want to lay your bricks and to start planting those seeds. And I was telling Bella before that I keep getting this really beautiful visual of, I also said the other day, this is kind of like the same thing, but a little different. But remember how you would have that science experiment in class where you would have a seed and you would have to like germinate it and like, am I saying the right word? Germinate?
Yeah, it's germinate. It's like the first step of when it starts to like sprout from the seed, I think.
Yes. Yeah. You like have your little seed and you put it in the petri dish, and every day you're visiting it and giving it what it needs, sun, water, whatever. And right now we're just taking care of our seedling and the roots are starting to come out, and you'll have a place to plant that towards the end of the year. And then when 2026 comes and it's that one new beginnings year, that's when the bloom happens. And sometimes it happens like very slowly. You start to just see like a little bit of the green come out of the ground. And what I'm visualizing is just like almost like a side view of a seed in the ground, and the roots are like a time lapse video of the roots just going into the ground before it rooted up. I don't know if that's the actual sequence of what happens, but right now I feel like 2025 is when the roots are going down into the ground and really establishing what they want to hold on to and what they want to let go of. And it's such a beautiful time for that. And just to like have patience with the journey, because I feel like there's a really big shift happening and we don't even really know the extent of what this shift is going to feel like for 2025. But something else I'm feeling into is this groundedness.
Yeah.
Like a call to really get grounded and to remember these higher truths. And when I was sitting down and tuning in, something that was coming forward for me was just like this. It's almost like there's a call for heart-led leaders to step up, and it's time to like cut the shit and recognize that you're being called to lead. And now is the time more than ever, 2025, because of things being taken away from people, people being shaken up to awaken. You're at a place in your journey where you understand what's happening and you're being called to lead. There's going to be people that don't understand what's happening, where they're looking around and they're like, all I see is fucking hell. And all I see is bad things happening. When you can feel in your heart and soul that maybe this is just a clearing. Maybe this is just a moment for us to really ground down and to establish a deeper sense of our internal safety and our internal truth. And I think it's really important for you guys to, take responsibility, but also own the fact that you're being called to lead. And I'm not saying lead in a way where like you need to get up on the podium. I'm just saying when you're around family, when you're around friends, I feel like I've shared this before, but embody your truth. Like let that be your state of being that is exuding out of you and touching other people. And it's just reminding me that we had this really powerful one-on-one call with one of our one-on-one clients today. And he was just mentioning that someone had recognized that he exudes a lot of light. And it was such a beautiful moment for us to kind of witness just from an outside perspective, like other people noticing other people's light and kind of wondering like, ooh, like, what are you doing to be so light? And you just exude this energy of joy and love. And that's what we're here to do this year. So something that's coming forward is just be cautious of when it's tempting to kind of get wrapped up in the illusion again and the fear and maybe separation, because it can feel very enticing to kind of surrender our power over to leaders. But I think 2025, the heart-led leaders are stepping forward. We as our own individual leaders are stepping forward. And in order for that to happen, we have to claim our role as leaders. Each of us are leaders in our own individual way. So I want to put that out there because this is going to hit. I know this is going to hit someone like so hard where they're like, fuck, I got the call to lead and I'm feeling a little scared. You're being called. Step up, claim your role, and start leading in whatever way your intuition is calling you to.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And with the leadership theme too, I think for some of you, it might look like just leading yourself and reclaiming that authority over your own life. And something that really stuck out to me in what you were saying is like this feeling of there's no choice anymore, or that things get, let's just say like loud enough. Something gets loud enough that you have to pay attention to it. And this is more like within your own psyche, your own experience, your own life. And that's where I was going to ask you a question that I actually would love to also get your insight on. And I'm having a piece of guidance come through as well for it, which is like, if you're someone that, let's say throughout this year, whether you're feeling it now or some challenge comes up and maybe you feel a little lost or unsure about what to do. And you're like, oh gosh, like I really have to look at this, or I'm going through a bit of a dark night, a shadow, whatever, to be your own leader in that and put on like the big girl pants idea of how can I lead myself through this with love, maybe with a little bit of like tough love, whatever you need, especially if you notice like repeating patterns come up of like that bird's eye view of pausing and being like, oh, I'm scrolling because I'm trying to escape, or I'm becoming addicted again to the news, or I'm falling for the trap of the political saviors coming to get me, coming to save me. And, you know, notice that like part of you that is like about to fork over the authority or the peace or the responsibility of creating comfort or whatever it is that you're looking for, that you're desiring, and flip it into yourself, and remembering that really the best embodied leaders are people who are leading themselves. And because when they do that, they inspire others, not from a place of come follow me blindly, but they inspire you to be your own authority. And that's what's the new paradigm about it, is like, that is the telltale sign of whether someone is in a position of power because they actually care about you, is the language and the feeling and the messaging around if they're turning you back to yourself and your own inner power, or if they are promising that they have some secret thing that only they have and other people don't have it. This is bullshit, okay? Don't fall for it. Like, this is, I think, the little side note on just reclaiming that authority in whatever arena of life. And yeah, the question that I had for you is any specific insight for someone that maybe, I'm getting just like, might feel like nervous or just like a little lost in the sauce when things do come up, and how can they lean into this energy so that they can really like keep going and mind the lesson and do the aligned action that they're meant to do in that moment.
For me personally, whenever I'm feeling a little bit lost in the sauce, like I see some sort of news that kind of throws me off, I just always return back initially to this reminder that we are all co-creating this experience. There's a collective dream that we're all taking part in, but we also have our own individual dreams. And when I say dream, I'm saying like the reality that we're living, our projected reality. And I ask myself in those moments when I'm feeling a bit lost in the sauce, what energy do I wish to contribute to either the collective dream or my own individual dream? What is it I want to experience? What energy do I want to experience? What language do I want to use? What vibration do I want to send out to the field? And what do I want to experience? And when you're feeling lost in the sauce, just by tuning into that and asking yourself those questions, you're going to immediately see that maybe the emotions you're fueling or the habits that you're fueling aren't actually giving you what you truly desire. And once you can see that, then you start to ask yourself, what can I do to actually put myself in this frequency of what I deeply desire? And a lot of the times we're deeply desiring inner peace and to feel our own inner power and to just feel okay inside. And I think the biggest message that I want to give with 2025, where, yeah, there is going to be almost like this big shakeup for people to wake up, but just know that in those moments, you have the opportunity to tune into your own energy and to establish that feeling of safety or feeling okay within yourself, no matter how like chaotic it may seem outside. And just to know that there is nothing outside of you that will ever make you feel completely okay. And when you remember that we're creating these collective dreams and individual dreams from within our own mind, we remind ourselves that we get to establish that sense of safety and okayness from within our own being. And you will get the guidance on what your soul is inviting you to lean into to establish that. And a lot of the times it's kind of unplugging from the things that cause that frequency, that cause that feeling, and then just starting in your immediate surroundings.
Yeah.
And knowing that what you do in your day-to-day with your family, with your immediate unit of people actually really fucking matters.
Yeah.
And that's really empowering to remember, because I think a lot of us can get caught up in this idea that we're not making a change or doing anything when we're just doing this inner work in our room, but you are.
Yeah.
And it's pretty beautiful if you think about that, like the ripple effect that has.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's important to remind us that there's a big split happening with love versus fear. And this is the year where we're having the opportunity to really choose love and to remember it over and over and over again. And when we see people in fear, choose love even more. So, yeah, I don't even know if I answered your question, but
no, it was perfect.
Return to love is my answer.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I'm really glad we touched on that. Okay, so there's two other major themes that I want us to touch on semi quickly, and then we can get into the tarot portion. Cool with that to move on?
Yep.
Okay. So, excuse me. So the two overarching themes that I think these just feel like very helpful to know, and also are kind of an invitation. And this first piece is kind of a concluding factor about understanding the 9-year energy of the universal 9 numerology, which is essentially that this year has an energy of preparing for a new beginning. That is supported by this idea of then 2026 being a 1 year. And it feels like I'm kind of summarizing here a lot of points we've talked about, but it's a final clearing out. It's actually a relaxation and a trust energy of knowing that so much good is continuing to come, both this year, next year, and forever, right? And you're really just fine tuning what you already have and what your current environment is. And I think this is important because it speaks to the root analogy you're talking about. Because if you think about a very big, beautiful, abundant, gorgeous tree needs a very big set of roots. Because if not, when the wind comes, the tree's not going to stand very long, right? This is why roots and grounding and this idea of like the foundation, like whatever analogy visual works for you, is so key, because that's the preparation for the newness, for the pop off energy, for that next level of your life, of your relationship, of your business, of your dream, where the bigness comes, right? The foundation of the house needs to be rock freaking solid if you want to build a big ass mansion on it, or whatever kind of house you want to build. The roots are needed. So in that energy of preparing for a new beginning, you are finally letting go, right? Whatever that is, closing the chapter, closing the door, honoring the past. Maybe you're finally taking a leap, actually. You're doing the big leapy action, something that signals to yourself that like, okay, I'm closing this chapter, or I'm just like trusting the path and I'm starting a new energy that I know will carry out for the next few years. And it's also just finally letting yourself exhale and just be so grateful for what already is, so grateful for the journey you've been on, for everything in your life that's happening for you. And there's a presence to it of just like, imagine like, something good is coming. Like, I'll speak personally. I'm about to get a dog. I'm about to get a puppy, which I'm stoked about. More updates to come. And it's teaching me this energy that's actually, I think, really, really relevant for the year ahead, which is like, something good is coming. And that's true about life always. Like, that's the beauty of miracles, that they drop in at any moment. But just think about that energy underneath of like, oh my gosh, I let myself get excited. Maybe I'm visualizing it. I'm also going to prepare my house. I'm going to clear things out, that I'm going to puppy proof my house, right? There's things that you do. So take that and make it into the actions that you do this year. That's that energetic difference between like a rush and a hustle and a force of making it all happen this year, and instead being like, what if I'm just preparing and getting things in place for whatever is to come? And yeah, that just feels like a very important thing and could give you a lot of clarity on your quote unquote goals for this year, as bring that energy of like, if you're preparing, if this is a journey, you can go ahead and relax and take an exhale and celebrate yourself and just embody already that excitement, that energy of if you knew it's guaranteed that it's coming, what are you doing? How are you being, right? You know all the truths. Like this is the year that's just going to give you a lot of opportunity to align and to create the space.
So good. I'm having some more stuff come through that I want to add. I feel like you guys have probably heard me say this, but I watched The Matrix recently, and the thing that really hit hard for me was the know thyself sign in the Oracle's kitchen on the wall. And I had just been really thinking about that while I was watching the movie and then also after. And I do feel that 2025 is a year to know yourself so deeply, to know that you are abundance, that you are love, that miracles are literally already here. Like you with the puppy. The dog already exists. It's not even about creating it or getting it. It's just about aligning yourself with the knowing that it's already done.
Yeah.
It's already done. And 2025 is a year to get out of the mindset of waiting and to feel into this deep inner knowing of who you are, what exists for you already, and to have fun, like kind of floating on your back in that. I'm imagining like a beautiful crystal clear pond that you're floating in, and the water is symbolizing all of your beautiful desires, and you're just floating and bathing in that frequency, and it just feels so good, and you have so much trust, and you're able to relax, but you know when to get up and maybe take a little action here, take a little action there. But know thyself hits so hard when you really feel into this knowing that who you know yourself to be is the exact reality that you will experience. Who you know yourself to be, like the beliefs that you hold of like, I am abundant. I am aligned with my miracles. I know good things are always happening. I know that life is always unfolding exactly how it's meant to. I know that I am fully capable of living in a reality that is full of freedom and trust and surrender. What you put after those words, I am, is the reality that you will experience. And just feel into that power, because energy is ramping up in a way where the I am statements hold so much potent energy. Yeah. And you can take this in both directions. This is what I was speaking about on the new moon in Capricorn call, where I was inviting the Omis to really claim who they are, like in the now.
Yeah.
What have you learned? And claim it in the now.
So powerful.
When you claim that, you don't even have to think about, I know like one day this will happen. It's already done. You're in that vibration of just being the being that knows it's already existing. And then you trust the timing of it and you surrender into the flow, because you know you can already be the energy of that in the now. And it's not even about the thing, but you know it's coming, but it's also already done. So it's this whole game of language and perception that allows you to experience different things in your reality. So remember this power that you hold. And there was something else that was coming through, and I didn't write it down, and now it's leaving my mind. So I'll just repeat again that the miracles are already here. Yeah. And there are so many beautiful miracles to come, and just claim that for yourself. Like claim the fact that they're already here and that you are a powerful being. You are pure abundance. You are pure love. This is what you want to know yourself as. And this is the basis of all of the work that we do.
Yeah. I was about to say, I was like, if you need help with that, go through all the other episodes, because there's like every tool in the book of like the self-discovery piece, the higher spiritual truths, the human design piece of like just understanding how awesome you are and how much that just like changes the way you function, the subconscious piece of like mining the shifts that you want to make and then picking new beliefs. Like we're here for that. So
truly. And just use reality as a mirror. If you have these things popping up in your life that make you feel unsafe, that make you feel not seen, not heard, where is this pointing you inward to establish a deeper truth about yourself? And what's coming through is like, see every point of contention in life or any sort of place that just isn't an energetic preference as an invitation to know yourself deeper. And this is the year to really know yourself on a deep level.
Yeah. Amen. Beautiful. Okay. So the last theme that I just want to touch on really, really, really quickly, because I know we wanted to make sure this episode was semi rapid fire, is just a quick note on trust. And I want to share like a little personal example from Nikki and I on how we're practicing this, because I think it will really resonate with anyone that feels like maybe you're a little kind of almost confused, I guess I would venture to say, about like, okay, am I not supposed to start anything new this year? Does that mean I'm like waiting for it in the future? Like, how do you discern that? And first of all, like, all of this is filtered through your own intuition and your own discernment of like what's right for you, right? There's collective energy, individual energy, but there's also just like what you're being called to do, right? Like you also have free will to fucking do whatever you want, right? Okay. But with this concept of trust, I think this is a word that gets thrown around a lot because it is very important, but sometimes it's not clear what that looks like. And I think that's going to become very clear this year. And Nikki and I have been feeling into a level of trust that feels like we kind of we leveled up basically in what it looks and feels like to be in full trust. And something I want to share is this example of we have this kind of new vision that's been coming through for us of seeing the two of us DJ together and essentially be like up on the stage, like creating music and experiences. And DJing is actually an idea, a dream that I've had for a few years now. And I thought that it would be something I would do solo. And then because my freaking North Node and life path is to embrace partnership, starting to visualize that as something that Nikki and I would do together started to really light up this, in both of us, this excitement. However, we kind of have been talking through how we have this like patience and trust that vision is going to A, come to fruition when it's meant to, and B, we're very okay with the idea that maybe that's not something we're meant to start this year. And the reason behind that is, one, we've tuned into personally is like, this is a year of everything we're saying of like building foundation in our business. We're like expanding with systems. We're working on what's already been cultivated, all of that. And so there's kind of this like challenging wisdom that we feel really good about, even though it maybe is a little bit like, I guess, uncomfortable, is to just be totally okay with taking it slow and knowing that maybe the vision, this big idea that we have, we are meant to loosen the grip on it. And there's something to be said for the type of trust that creates and the energy that you're in, because now your vision and the goal you have isn't something that you're afraid is going to expire or that you're going to squash by like messing it up somehow. It's like you receive the desire and you already know that it must be meant for you and that you will be pulled onto the path exactly when you're meant to. And I want to invite you to just reflect on how you can practice this type of trust and know that you don't need to accomplish every part of your vision in 1 year. And I know when I say it like that, you're like, duh. But to be honest, I in the past would have like set out and done my vision board and been frustrated if I felt like I didn't accomplish it all in a year. And I would have told myself I'm like behind or whatever. And it doesn't need to be that way. And in fact, when you bring in that trust, relaxed energy, like I wouldn't be surprised if something super magical happens this year where like a piece of that DJ dream puzzle just falls into our lap and starts to like be a part of our reality, but we're guided to it instead of forcing it to happen. And let me tell you, this feeling of trust and relaxation in the path and the work we're doing and just the life that we're building is life-changing. I have felt so at peace at the start of this year. It's insane. And I just know that this is like, oh, that's like the secret sauce of the magnetism and being in the receiving mode, is this type of trust where you're like not even worried about the timeline.
I am having so many things click about trust just from tuning into what you're sharing. What's coming through is that trust is our ability to see the sacredness in the now, but to also inject the now with like more of our sacredness. And you can relate that to anyone who has a big vision. Trust is your ability to look at the present moment of what you are in right now and to feel how special it is to be where your feet are and to feel how, whoa, if you do want to zoom out and see it from a higher perspective, this is such a sacred piece of the puzzle, and to feel into the beauty that the now moment has. And then you have the choice to lean into that instead of reject the now. When we're attached to the end vision and maybe telling ourselves that we're not somewhere that we're meant to be, we're rejecting the now.
Yeah.
And the now is where you always have an opportunity to share your light, to share your gifts, to be in flow, to be of service, to share love. And I feel like that's why you and I get so much joy out of everything we do and create with this business and serving. It's because every now moment we're seeing as an opportunity to be present and to share our light and to have fun with life. And when you ace that, and when you understand that you can still have these sacred desires that come from a place of fullness, that's when the game gets so different. Because if you have the vision and then you're making it mean that you're not somewhere you're meant to be, like right now, and that's like a bad thing, and I must be fucking up, that's when we're like putting ourselves in this state of forgetting how whole we are in the now, and we're going to experience a suffering. And that's when we attach to our visions thinking that they're the thing that's going to make us feel okay, when there's no vision, no manifestation that will ever just like make you feel okay inside. It's all an inner game. And when you get to do that first and feel into the presence of the now, and to feel so held and to see the beauty of every single now moment, you just feel life. Like you take life's hand and you feel the warmth of a life and how held you are and how sacred every single now moment is. And trust, you don't even have to try. It's just what arises through that process. Surrender, it's natural because you're like, why the fuck am I going to force this? I'm enjoying this river that I'm floating down right now.
Yes.
So that's what came through. And I'm curious if that hits for you guys. So definitely share what's coming through. We want to hear from you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So beautiful. All right. So this is a 4-card pull. And if you want to see the visual of these cards, either go on Spotify or YouTube if you're not there already. And I'll be showing these as I explain them. But basically this 4-card pull looks like first card that is addressing 2024 and what we are leaving behind, kind of both like the lesson and also what we're done with. Then we move into 3 cards for 2025. The first being the invitation and the opportunity for this year. The next being the challenge, but also like the awareness that we need to have about this year. And then finally the embrace and the embody. So like what is like the almost like even bigger invitation, if you will, of what to really take even deeper into yourself and into your experience. Okay. So the first card, which was for 2024 and what we're leaving behind, is Temperance Reversed. I'll show it to the camera first, and I'll show it to you, Nikki. Temperance Reversed. Okay. And this card is, when it's upside down, is really signaling and inviting you to know when there's been an imbalance and when you're forcing and when there's frustration and impatience. And it's essentially a reminder to surrender and stop forcing. And it's not about, surrendering power completely, but about using your power in a different way. And I think this is so perfect for closing the chapter of 2024 and to also just kind of set like claiming what you're going to let go of, right? Or essentially releasing what is no longer serving. And the takeaway here is really this idea of everything that 2025 is about, which is like this patience, this presence, long-term thinking. And what's cool is I remember last year when we were designing they're coming up with our really beautiful one-on-one VIP container, this whole big thing was about moving away from force and into flow. And I think a lot of us can resonate with the fact that maybe in 2024, I definitely had experiences of this where I was inadvertently, like unknowingly or even consciously actually, just in a bit of forcing and gripping. And we can learn a lot from that. And it's great because sometimes it's like you get a lot done and you're productive and you're taking action. Amazing. But the energy behind it is imbalanced and is kind of coated with this frustration and this impatience. So what we're being invited to do and to essentially just close the door on is the force and the frustration and the impatience, because it's the opposite of getting into flow and of trust and of surrender and all of these beautiful energies that we are feeling into for this year. So that's the first card. I don't know if you want to add anything there.
Also, just adding the opposite can also apply with experiencing disharmony with maybe not enough structure and leaving that behind, because that was something that was coming through, and just feel into which one resonates with you more, because you'll know immediately.
Yes. Yeah. It's perfect that you bring that up, because the second card, so this is all these, this next three are for 2025. So this is what I pulled as the invitation opportunity. It's very interesting. This is the strength card reversed. Strength card reverse. That's what it looks like, Nikki.
Ooh, lion.
Yeah, it's lion. So what's interesting is because this is reversed, it's an invitation to find your balance according to your needs. And when this reverse card shows up in a reading, it's really a signal that there might be a battle between your inner and outer self, or between like masculine and feminine. And so essentially it's a recognition of, if you've only been listening to logic when making a decision, to bring in the emotion and to marry the two, right? Or if you've only been using emotion and feeling and maybe ignoring instincts or ignoring logic, to bring that other energy in and marry it. And so it's really beautiful. And this is crazy because this is actually the topic that we're going to go really deep into on our next our next coherence activation, which, depending on when you listen to this, it'll be available in our membership. But basically, it's an opportunity to break your own patterns of what you are doing that keeps you in that imbalance, and find that like missing element that is going to bring that calmness. And I thought this was so cool based on what me and you have been talking about with kind of the new things we're bringing in, where for me, I am really learning and finally bringing in like a master level of flow and magnetism and like receiving and more of the feminine. And Nikki has been really exploring bringing in the masculine, the structure, and really like for both of us cleaning up the relationship or energy that we have around those two different things. And it's so personal, because then it's like we both know what we're semi already masters of, / what comes to us naturally. So I think this upside down strength card is like, how can you get yourself back into that balance and recognize what has maybe fallen off kilter, so you can feel a sense of like groundedness, of like moving and grooving type energy, where you're just strong and good to go.
It's crazy to think about. I was reflecting on this the other day, and sorry to interject. I know we're trying to do rapid fire, but one of the core beliefs that I feel like my parents instilled in me just through the way they cared for us was this idea, and I literally feel this deep to my core, that I will always be taken care of. And like, just this, honestly, they did a lot for us as children with helping us with our projects. And we were laughing about it when they were visiting recently, where I was like, Dad, remember you would like literally take hold of the projects that I had, and you would make these insane projects, and then I'd bring it to class and they'd be like, whoa, Nikki, like, how did you make that? And like, my fucking dad did it. But I feel like I have this really deep core belief that I will always be taken care of. And it's kind of like shifted over into my spiritual journey, where I look back on my path and like money has always come to me. I will have always been taken care of. And it wasn't really conditional. And I feel like this is what I'm taking to like a whole new level that you and I are injecting into our business too, is like this magnetism, that the underlying belief is that the universe has fucking got your back. And when you feel into that belief, you see it reflected to you in your reality. It's no longer the game of hustle or chasing. It's just like this inner knowing, like the know thyself belief of you will always be taken care of. You will always be taken care of. Money is always coming to you. You always have an inflow of whatever it is you need. And it's just such a core belief that when you instill that within, it's wild. Like the shit that will just like pop up in your life out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, where'd that come from? Okay, I'm fine with it. And it's really powerful to remember that, because that's like a universal truth that you can tie into. So I wanted to add that.
Yeah, such a like feminine receiving, and to like also recognize how important when you do have that belief that then your reality reflects it and is like going to keep proving to you that there's like this ability to like soften and relax, and that will help you be taken care of.
Right.
So yeah, that's beautiful.
But then my balance is coming in with really stepping into more of that masculine of like having the structures in place of like, okay, I see you, universe, you're providing, but now what can I do to really step up in the bigger way that matches up with that more feminine flow and receiving? Like, what do I have to become and to step into with my actions to open myself up to receive that energy? So
yes. Yeah, exactly. Everyone finding their perfect balance. Okay, beautiful. So then the challenge / the awareness. Now what's interesting is as soon as I was like picking this card, I was like, I know that this is not like such an obvious challenge. It's going to be something that's like more of something for you to be like, oh, there's a challenge here that's actually an opportunity. So anyway, this card that came through is so spot on for the year, which is the Four of Wands. Four of Wands. Here you go, Nikki.
This is for the embrace?
No, this is for the challenge awareness.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And this is a beautiful card that is showing two women together standing under there's four wands, and at the top of it there's like this beautiful like garland type of thing, and they're like embracing each other. So it's very much about celebration, harvest, community, which I wrote in all capitals, success, stability, accomplishments, and rewards. And what was coming through is that the challenge here is to finally let yourself feel enough and to feel accomplished and to celebrate your life and bring in that energy of celebration, of accomplishment, of I did it every day at every chance that you get. And I think what's so interesting of why this came through as like the challenge / what to bring awareness to is because that can be difficult when we are in the conditioning of the old paradigm that says like you can't feel good unless X is in your life, or I will only allow myself to feel successful when I have the XYZ thing to prove it. And this card is asking us to be like, what if you just let yourself right now exhale and celebrate the fact that you are alive and you're doing the damn thing and you've been on this journey, and to like count your gratefuls, like count the blessings. And I think the community piece is big with this too, because this is where with people and with others, like we're very able to access just this like, yeah, like let's celebrate, let's have a dinner party. And it's like, what if this is the year where you just like let yourself be accomplished in whatever it is? And it's so aligned with a 9 energy because it's like completion. You did it. Like no matter what your life looks like, there's always a reason to celebrate and always a reason to like reap the rewards of the harvest. And I invite people to just recognize when they feel resistance to that and ask yourself what story or belief or pattern is stopping you from giving yourself some freaking credit and just being like, yeah, I'm grateful and I can be grateful now. And that is what is going to attract more of that. So this just felt really beautiful and like I like that it came through as the challenge, because it's just like inviting you to then have it be a mirror for when you don't want to let yourself celebrate or like take a chill pill type of vibe.
Yeah. It's like people don't even recognize that they're not celebrating until you bring it up as like, this is a challenge.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, what? Oh, yeah, I actually haven't celebrated myself. Lean in. It's like the challenge of being grateful. It's like silly to even recognize that that's a challenge for most of us, but get in the habit of just like looking at your surroundings and celebrating the fact that there are beautiful things that you have manifested into your life because of the work that you have done. Like, I promise there are probably 10 things right in front of you right now that you can look at and you're like, damn, I own this car. I feel good about this in my life. I was able to get this job, whatever it is. Like there are things in your life that you have brought into your reality field that deserve to be celebrated. And maybe it's internal too.
Yes, totally. Yeah, actually, you saying that reminds me too of I was talking to someone recently, and I feel like something that was coming through just in a common experience is like sometimes you need a little bit of a reminder to like focus on the good and understand that that's a very like important tried and true life philosophy for a reason, and that like rumination and just always focusing on the problems, whether that's within you or in the world, it doesn't do you good, okay? It's not the vibe. And sometimes this is like a little bit of like a, hey, like, let's focus on the good. What do you want to create? What do you love about your partner? Like, what are the amazing characteristics they have? And to not focus on all their shortcomings and your shortcomings. And it's like, let's put that shit down and realize the power of focusing on what you do want. And that feels like this energy of like, challenge yourself to break that pattern. And eventually it will become your norm. It will become your automatic self-talk is always looking at the good, and then you will create more of it.
Oh, something's coming through just for 2025. I feel like with this kind of more dramatic split that we're going to see, what I was saying before about like it's going to be tempting to kind of get wrapped up in like all the chaos or whatever it is that will unfold. But remember that what you're focusing on expands, and it's not naive or selfish to focus on the good. It's actually impacting the collective in a positive way when you focus on expanding the positive energy.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so then the last card is the Embrace Embody card. And this was also very, very interesting, and I think is another like wake up call type of energy. And what came through was the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands, what it looks like, 10 of Wands. And this is very interesting card because it represents when there is a lot of burden and responsibilities and struggle and burnout. But what this is asking us to do is to put it down. This card, the imagery is this girl who is clearly struggling, holding all these wands, right? These wands that are representative of creativity, but there's like no room for fun here. It's just struggling and carrying, and there's like a city in the background, and it feels like the vision, the thing is out there. And when this shows up, it's for you to notice the burdens that you are self-imposing and to ask yourself where you can lighten the load and loosen the freaking grip. And it's also a big reminder of not having to do it alone and to ask for help, and to really, I think the embrace here is like embracing first, maybe just whatever it is that is your reality of like, maybe things are heavy and you have, feels like a lot of responsibility. It feels like there's this burden. Let's just be okay with recognizing that for a second. And then the next step of asking for help or just putting it down. Like sometimes it's as simple as being like, you know what, I'm just done. I'm just done carrying this burden. I don't need to do this anymore. And that's, I think, big for 2025 is like the letting go, the leap, the quitting, the whatever, pivoting. And it really also invites you to stop pursuing what just isn't working and fulfilling you. And I think this is, again, the embrace of like, sometimes when someone's, the word embrace to me is really like, sometimes you're resisting it, and it's like, just lean in and figure out like what this challenge is here to show you. And the 10 of Wands really has a wisdom of like asking this woman here to like, it's okay to pivot. It's okay to end a cycle. It's okay to let something go. It's okay to admit something is not working. It does not mean that you haven't made any progress or that it's all going out the window. And when you can figure out that it's time to pivot, that is when there's like this release, and that's when the creativity comes back. So the final notes on this one is just, yeah, it's not always a time to just like power through and make it this like big dramatic struggle. Like sometimes the universe wants you to just soften and put it down and remember that it's supposed to be fun and creative and playful. So yeah, the 10 of Wands is just asking us to embrace whatever challenge that we face, whatever shadows that are coming up, and remove that pressure to do it all, to prove it to who are you proving it to? Like, what's the struggle about? It's kind of like a silly, like, put the sticks down, dude. Like, you're gonna be fine. Like, just drop the fucking weight. It's okay. And yeah, finally it's just like realizing like a new cycle is gonna start soon. Like, newness is always coming in. So just drop the sticks and calm down and ask for help and embrace whatever it is that's in front of you. That's it. It's just bring it in. And that's also where you embody, right? That's where you like put the, rubber to the road, the pedal to the metal. And you're like, okay, I know I'm supposed to release what no longer serves me. I'm going to actually do that this time and embrace that whole process, no matter how like uncomfortable it is.
I'm like visualizing how you were using the analogy before of building houses. It's like someone has this dream of living on the ocean and this beautiful, like, I don't know, wooden house, but then they're over here on a lake building a stone cabin or something. And they're just like, okay, I'm over here. I'm putting the bricks over here. I'm going back to this house. I'm going back to, what are you doing? Put it down. Put the bricks down. It's over there. Yeah. And I'm also getting the visual of like, you're planting the seeds and you want to plant the seeds of like these beautiful evergreen trees, but in your hand, you're planting the seeds of like a tomato vine.
Right.
A tomato plant. And it's like, why are we wasting our energy there? Just put those seeds down and focus on the ones that you actually do want, because 2026 is going to come and that's when things are going to want to bloom. So just what seeds are you planting right now?
Yes. Yep. Beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, this all just really feels like whatever is really causing pings in you and is kind of like lighting you up or making you curious, really trust that. And I definitely recommend maybe listening to this episode a couple times, put it on 1.5x speed or whatever, and just trust yourself to be guided. And I also really want to say, like, we probably have an episode on a topic that we've covered in here in terms of, embodiment or working through shadows. Like, we cover it all just itself on the podcast. So if you are feeling like you want more support, that's a great place to start. And then the step further is the incredible community membership that we have, which we talk about all the time. And I actually want to take a second to plug more specifically our one-on-one beautiful VIP coaching container, where you get to work with both Nikki and I, and it's really the container for the soul that you're listening to this and you're like, yes, okay, I'm ready. I'm hearing this. I'm so ready to, like, you've had that awakening and you're like, I want to really make my life a living, beautiful, breathing reflection of that inner world, but you're seeking very beautiful, intimate support from the two of us to really make that journey very beautiful and helpful and supportive, and coming out of 3 months where you were like almost unrecognizable, but it's the real you that's come through. So Nikki, I'll let you speak more to that and who that is meant for, but I definitely wanted to take a second that if someone is like, oh my gosh, yes, okay, this is my year, I love this energy, then I invite you to explore this container with us.
I would say that we can already feel the person that is listening that is already thinking, I want to take this to the next level and receive that one-on-one support. Like, we know that you're there. We can feel you, and just feel into this reality where you have very personalized, direct support of taking everything we talk about and really integrating it. That's what this container is for. It's like taking your integration and embodiment to the next level. And I'm just so excited to meet you. And I'm so excited to get on a call and to be able to hear the visions that you're having and the desires that are coming through, because your soul is taking you on a journey of expansion, and the visions that you're having, the desires that are coming through, they're here for a reason. They're here for a reason. And we have specifically built this container for the person that's like, I'm fucking ready. Yeah. I'm putting that shit down and I'm fucking ready to jump in. And we've been working with some one-on-one clients over the past few months, and it is just wild to see the revelations and all the big steps that they're taking in the direction of where their soul is calling them. And it is so freaking special to have that support of people who are on the journey with you. And it's just that personalized guidance of having 2 people in your corner that are going to hold you accountable, really keep you tapped into this path. And it's 3 months of deep transformative work. Yeah. So if this is you and we can feel that you're there and this is resonating with you and it's waking something up in you, feel free to check out the landing page and the application. It's in the show notes. And we cannot wait to start with you. Like, holy crap, this year is going to be magic for you. And just think about who you're going to be after the 3 months. You're going to be tapped in to your path. Tapped freaking in.
Hell yeah. Oh my God, so exciting. Amazing. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this. Please reach out and let us know what resonated. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you can leave a comment below the episode or send us a DM. We love hearing from you guys. And it's also really affirming just for you yourself to put out there what is resonating and to claim something. And yeah, just let us know. We always love to hear from you guys. This community is literally the world and means everything to us. So yeah, that's it. We love you so much. Nikki, any other closing words?
Yes. When this episode comes out, our heart coherence activation is tomorrow, Tuesday, the 14th. Oh, cool. Okay. And like Bella mentioned, the topic that we're diving into is really balancing the masculine and feminine energies. We've been getting a lot of downloads on this and integrating this into our own journey. Balancing those 2 energies in the creation process. And it is going to be a beautiful session. If you're not sure what the heart coherence activations are, they are a really powerful portal that you step into. It's a 1-hour workshop where you're more so receiving. We tap into the channeling state and then we channel a message and a lesson. And it's really tapped into a specific topic. And this is the topic of masculine and feminine energies. And you're going to receive some codes, some wisdom, and you'll walk away being tapped into this really potent frequency of receiving even more wisdom on this topic from your own channel. So you can sign up for the free trial for our Oasis membership and you'll be able to join for free tomorrow. And if you're watching this after the 14th, it's available for replay too. So thank you guys so much for listening and we'll see you on the coherence activation tomorrow. Bye guys.
Bye.
Peace and love.